So who are you?
I'm Spencer Rascoff. I'm the COO of Zillow.com. I've been with Zillow since the beginning, 5 years ago. I joined Zillow from Expedia with the whole management team of Expedia. We all came over together from Expedia to start the company about 5 years ago. And I got to Expedia through my last company, a company I co-founded called Hotwire.com, which we sold to Expedia. So that's how I ended up here at Zillow.
All great companies, all companies I use on my iPad.
All right, all right.
And so we're here at the Inman Conference, which is the world's largest real estate conference. I gave a speech yesterday and it was a lot of fun. What's happening in the world of real estate? Because Zillow is a company I use like every couple of weeks to check how much money I'm losing on my house.
Sorry about that. Yeah, well, a lot's happening in real estate. I mean, firstly, just in the market, home values have come way down from their peak, obviously. They're down around 25% from the peak a couple years ago nationwide. But some parts of the country are down 50, 60, 70%. The rate of decline has slowed, so home values are still declining, but much less quickly than they were. Some parts of the country have bottomed. Actually, San Francisco, we think, has bottomed. San Diego, LA, we think has bottomed and bounced a little bit off the bottom. But some parts of the country, like Las Vegas and Phoenix, are still declining rapidly. Within the online real estate space, what's happening is innovators and startups like Zillow continue to take share from incumbents. We're now the second largest real estate site with around 11 million unique visitors a month.
Wow.
And we just announced a partnership with Yahoo Real Estate, which is the third largest real estate site. So the second and third largest real estate sites are coming together.
And what are you doing with Yahoo?
There are two parts of it. Firstly, we're going to power their listings. So if a real estate agent or a broker puts their listings on Zillow, they'll automatically appear on Yahoo Real Estate. And the second item is we will sell their ads. So all the advertising from the real estate industry on Yahoo Real Estate will be represented by Zillow.
That's really cool.
These are our two core competencies. Getting listings and cleaning them up, which is actually quite hard in the real estate industry, and selling ads to the real estate industry. Those are two things we're great at. And so this allows Yahoo to focus on other things that they're great at, like a great user experience and site personalization, and selling ads to other types of advertisers besides the endemic real estate industry. So it's a very exciting partnership.
You have an iPad in front of you. That probably gives a hint of some other things that changed.
Yeah.
Last time I met you, I've talked with you is 2 years ago, and this didn't exist. The iPhone really wasn't predominant. Now it's really taking off, and the Android is coming in. So what's happening? How is mobile changing your business?
It is changing it so rapidly. I can't tell you. Mobile now for us is, we've almost had 2 million downloads across all these different app platforms. We're the largest real estate app on iPhone, largest real estate app on iPad, largest real estate app on Windows Mobile, largest real estate app on Android. So it's a significant part of our focus. It's around 20% of our usage now on weekends. And what's really interesting about it is it's the inverse of our web traffic patterns. So during the day, people use Zillow on the web. And at nights and weekends, they're using Zillow with mobile apps when they're out looking at houses. And if you think about what's successful in mobile, it's these location-based services, because that's really what mobile provides. And
that was my whole speech yesterday,
right.
Was that we're in the third wave of usage, right? The first wave was Google, the second wave was Facebook or social, and the third wave now is location and mobile added with search and with social. And that really makes something like Foursquare possible, or your product, right? Because it's all about location.
The most highly monetizable local geo-specific transaction is the home purchase. I think Foursquare is a fascinating business model on rocket ship growth, and Yelp's mobile app and OpenTable's mobile apps and all the mobile apps that I use are terrific. But home shopping is the ultimate mobile purchase decision. Where else are you making hundreds of thousands of dollar decisions out in the field away from a desktop, if not home shopping? So for us, it's just a perfect intersection of local real estate and local commerce, and it lends itself really, really well to mobile apps. So it's been a big focus of ours. We're hiring, actually. If you know any good mobile developers, please send them my way.
So is everybody else.
But exactly. But
at Rackspace, we have a great iPhone and Android development team. I keep telling them, you better not go out.
It's really competitive. Mobile devs are in high demand for good reason. It's obviously an exciting area, and it's an area of investment for us. Our our iPhone and iPad and Android apps, I think, are particularly interesting, not just for home shoppers who are in the market and standing in front of a home and want to learn the particulars of the home, but it's just interesting if you're new to a neighborhood. I was in your neighborhood at Half Moon Bay last week, and I was just walking the coastal trail using my iPhone app to learn about the houses. Wow, that's a cool house. I wonder what they paid for it. I wonder what it's worth. I wonder how many square feet it has. And zooming around and having the GPS follow you as you walk or drive, and seeing information around every home it's totally a mind-bending experience, and it gives you great insight into new neighborhoods.
Are you gonna become the new homes of the rich and famous?
I
was just in Hollywood and people are selling the Star Tour.
Yeah, no, I mean those star maps. I mean, I grew up in LA, and I used to always see those guys with the blue signs with the yellow paint on Sunset Boulevard selling those star maps, and that's good and interesting and quaint, and they've proven that there's a market for that, but. Isn't it more interesting in an iPhone or Android app on every home, not just Star's homes? So it's fun.
Do you think Zillow 2 or 3 years from now could be a different kind of company than just real estate, because you're building such an interesting database of location, and people are attracted to location apps, right? Foursquare is proving that that it has no data in it yet, and we're still attracted to it. And imagine Foursquare with data in it. Are you going to partner with Foursquare to put more data about where you are into Foursquare?
Well, I mean, we've always tried to capture the wisdom of crowd and user-generated content onto Zillow. We were a pretty early pioneer in that 4 or 5 years ago, doing things like letting people comment on homes and having message boards where people can talk about real estate, letting real estate agents create profile pages and do other forms of UGC. We have not tied that into mobile yet, but it would be a natural extension. I think a couple years from now, we'll still be a real estate focused site. We have a mortgage division, the Zillow Mortgage Marketplace, which is a really interesting business for us as well. And that will certainly grow and be a bigger focus a couple years out. Mobile will be a bigger focus as well a couple years out. I think at the end of the day, we'll still be a real estate site, but the mediums in which people interact with us will likely change.
Tell me about the infrastructure you built, because you're at a different stage now than you were when I interviewed you. Now you're a little bit more mature company, but you have tens of millions of users a month. What does that mean for you? What's the challenges for you now, keeping tens of thousands of servers up and running?
It's hard, and now we have partnerships where we power listings on other sites, and so we've got SLAs to meet not just with our users, but with our partners. So, I mean, for us, we have a fantastic ops group that this is what they do, and they do it incredibly well. You should come up and meet them sometime and interview them. I'm sure your viewers would find that interesting. But for us, the biggest challenges are processing all these feeds. We have thousands of feeds, listings feeds, from brokerages and MLSs and real estate agents and listings aggregators, and bringing all that data together and cleansing it and deduping and sorting all that out is actually really hard. And so that's a big technical challenge for us. The other big technical challenge is the Zestimate. Probably what we're best known for is trying to figure out what every home in the country is worth. And we produce news estimates 3 times a week. And so that's a huge hardware and software challenge to try to do that 3 times a week. And
you probably have similar challenges to like Facebook or Twitter, right? It's a different business, but the technical challenges of going through thousands of feeds is the same kind of challenge.
Absolutely, and I mean the other analogy on the technical side would be Expedia. I mean what they do on the airfare side, trying to, or hotel side, trying to surface real-time rates and availability such that those rates are really there, they're not cached in some way. That's really hard, and Expedia was the first online travel agency to do that well. Most others have copied, and ITA, the company that Google just bought, kind of pioneered an outsourced way to do that. And so the ITA technology powers a lot of these companies now. But that was a very hard technical challenge in travel, which we addressed and built competitive advantage for Expedia early on. And now we have a similar challenge with these listings feeds in the real estate space.
What does Zillow look like under the covers? Is it 100 MySQL databases? What runs it, and what is it? If I got hired there, what would I see on my screens?
You would see all of the above. You're going to see HTML, Java, MySQL, Linux, all. There are different developers using different platforms for different things. We're about 200 employees. About half of those are sales folks. About a quarter to 2/3 of the remaining, so sort of 50 to 75 people, are kind of technical folks, either developers or ops people, and then there's a small component of people like me who are just overhead, really, management and other people that don't actually write the code, but contribute in other ways.
Since a lot of companies are aspiring to become the Zillow of their industry, what have you learned over the last 2 years? What as you grew from a startup to a more mature company, what did you do right or wrong, or what advice would you have for people who are in that same spot where you guys were 2 years ago?
It's a bit of a cliche, but cliches are cliches usually because there's some truth to them. I think what we did well is we focused on the user. We focused on the consumer, and we tried to do right by them. And so initially, 4 years ago when we launched, that was create this database of all homes with estimates on them. And to most people, that was wow, look at all that information, that's so cool, that's revolutionary. And then it was put all these listings in a great UI on a map. That was the next iteration. That was interesting too, and believe it or not, quite revolutionary at the time. Then it was create this Zillow mortgage marketplace where borrowers get matched with lenders anonymously, which is a huge step change improvement over what else was out there on the web for online mortgage shopping. Then it was go deep into mobile because we saw our users were using mobile devices. So we focused on the user first, and the rest takes care of itself, whether that be monetization or partner relations or other business challenges. If you focus on the consumer and your user, then you'll be fine.
Did you work on culture inside the company? Tell me about some of the choices there.
We've tried to create a good, interesting culture at Zillow. I think we've done a great job. We're in Seattle. Are
you still in those beautiful offices?
We are. We're still in beautiful offices in downtown Seattle.
That was a great recruiting tool.
A lot of us commuted across the to the east side to work at Microsoft and Expedia, and we didn't really want to do that. So we're in downtown Seattle, right in the center of mass transit. Most people, like me, take the bus or ride their bike to work. That creates a certain type of culture, attracts a certain type of employee. Beautiful, incredible views, 46th floor with the Puget Sound and Mount Rainier and the Cascades and the Olympics and water 360 degrees, which creates a fun culture. Yeah. Culture is really, really important. There's just no question. Any software company is only as valuable as the people that work there that create the intellectual property for it. And so nothing could be more important than corporate culture. Yeah.
We're Rocky and I are going to be in Seattle in a couple weeks. Seattle's really come on strong as a startup hub.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Zillow to be one of the bigger companies inside this growing ecosystem of startups?
I love Seattle. I was in San Francisco before at Hotwire. It was in downtown San Francisco, and so I've experienced the San Francisco startup scene, and now I've experienced the Seattle startup scene. Personally, I love Seattle. I love the. It's a much more manageable size, both in terms of the city and the startup scene. So we all pretty much know each other. A lot of roads lead back to Zillow and to our chairman and co-founder, Rich Barton, who was the CEO of Expedia and the founder of Zillow. And so many of the startups in the Seattle area have relationships with Zillow. It's kind of a spider web where all roads lead to us. And that's fun and exciting because it puts us at the center of the startup community in Seattle. So let me know if you have time. We'll show you around the offices again and maybe have you meet some more people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for giving me a little look. Any last thing that you've been learning from the mobile devices? Because I bet you're learning all sorts of stuff about how the iPad or the Android or the iPhone are changing how people use these kinds of services.
Yeah. I think for home shopping, for real estate, what's interesting to me is just how much more qualified clients are, contacts or leads are when they come from a mobile device. A lead that comes from the web is at one point in the funnel. A lead that comes from a mobile device is much more highly qualified because they're out in the field. They're with their wife, driving around looking at houses, and they see a house and they want to talk to an agent, and they click to call. Hi, I'd like to see this house now. Can you show it to me now? If you're at your computer, you're also interested. If you're at your desktop, you're also interested in real estate, clearly and interested in that home. But can I see it in a week or two? And you get voicemail. Okay, maybe I wasn't that interested. It's just a bit of a different shopping experience.
That's interesting. I'm studying startups based on do they surface transactionality of somebody? Plancast, for instance, I tell it I'm going to the web in December. I've just told the world that I'm about to spend $5,000 to $10,000 of travel.
Right.
And nothing happens.
Right. Where are my coupons?
Well, not just that. Where United Airlines should be tweeting to me.
Totally. Yep. Yep. How do I know where to stay?
Hotels should be getting in touch with me. Restaurants should be showing up or saying, hey, check in on Foursquare. All sorts of stuff should be happening. It doesn't.
Right.
And here you guys are surfacing transactionality in a new way. How can you get earlier in that chain?
Well, for us, we want to be up, down, everywhere in the chain. We have 11 million visitors on the web, and some portion of them are voyeuristic. They're looking at celebrity real estate or checking their boss's house or their ex-girlfriend's house. They're not ready to transact yet. Yeah. But a lot of people are deeper down the funnel and ready to contact an agent. Obviously, for us, given our model, somebody down at the bottom of the funnel and for us, the bottom of the funnel is ready to talk with an agent or ready to talk with a lender. That's a much more interesting client to us. But I mean, the travel analogy is interesting. My friends, the guys that started Hotwire with me, went on to start TripIt, and that's kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to assemble, itinerary information to try to improve your travel experience.
Absolutely, and I love all these companies. So
it's a cool service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good seeing you.
Thanks.